Thank you. Hello everyone, good afternoon. I hope you enjoy the full day events like what I do. Maybe you need to have some stretch because the networking session and break was a little bit short just now. A little bit about myself. You might be thinking why there's an Asian here talking about venture funding in Africa. So I will bring you back to the 1st of February 2020. That's the very rainy, windy night. That's the first night I stepped into this continent, and I was in Nairobi International Airport. That night, luckily, two of my friends picked me up in the airport, and I have not a lot of knowledge about the whole continent. I just went here for some work and then for some projects. And then I spent 4 years in this continent with a lot of different projects. From traditional acquisition in a microfinance bank to running a crypto exchange in Nigeria to kind of like a couple of projects. So that's like a little bit about myself. So before I go into the topic today, unleashing the venture funding for Web3 startup in Africa, I want to know about you. Just one question. 3 parts. One is like startup side, if you're a founder, entrepreneur, and the second one is more you're an investor, family office, angels, and then the third is more like other stakeholders in like Web3 ecosystem. So if you're a startup side, can you just show? Okay. And then if you're an investor side, okay, less. And then stakeholders will be the rest, I think. Okay, cool. Thank you. Before I share my point of view, maybe I will ask you also to think from your point of view. It's like, how's the venture funding in Web3 startup in Africa from your role and from your kind of your thinking? And then I'll ask you 6 questions so that you have an idea, your perspective and your how you know the numbers and the ecosystem from yourself. The first one, what is the trend of global venture funding since 2019 and 2023 on a year-on-year basis? If it's up 34%, then you can thumbs up. If it's down, then you can thumbs down. Yeah, you can just show me if you want to guess. Just show me. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, it's actually very diverse. Well, some up and down. Actually, the answer is minus 34%. And then the next question, what is the trend of Africa venture funding since 2019 to 2023 on a year-on-year basis? Up or down, up or down? Okay, it's actually minus 29%. The third question, what is the trend of global Web3 venture funding in 2023 compared to 2022? Up or down? Up 64%, down negative 64%. Okay, it's down 64%. And then the fourth question, what is the trend of Africa Web3 venture fundings in 2023 compared to 2022? Okay, it's like half-half actually, the guessing. It's actually down 45%. So, last 2 questions. What is the funding size of Africa Web3 venture funding in 2023? In numbers terms, dollars. If it's 135 million, it's thumbs up. If it's 373 million, it's thumbs down. Okay. This time more correct. It's 135 million. Last question. What is the annual share of Africa Web3 venture funding to the total global Web3 venture fundings in 2023? What's the proportion? If it's 1.3% up, if it's 3.1% down. Okay. Also mostly correct. It's actually 1.3%. So you get an idea how much you know about the ecosystem in Africa. Maybe you know better than me, yeah? Okay, so this is today's agenda. So I'll break it down into 4 parts. The first one is introduction about who I am also with is Adaverse, a venture fund. And the second part is landscape. So how is the global landscape and also this continent Africa landscape in terms of VC funding, how's it doing? And the third part is more on the challenges. So what kind of challenges are we facing and also my point of view. And then the last part is okay, what's the outlook? What are the opportunities ahead and what you as a stakeholders, as an investor, as a startup entrepreneurs, what can you do regarding these challenges? So, okay. So Adaverse is a Web3 fund. We actually originally is from Cardano. so ADA, if you know. So this are our portfolio companies, around 60 of them. You can see like 20, 30 are actually African-based. So we focus a lot in Africa, Asia, and then right now, a lot in Middle East. So I'm from Hong Kong, but I'm based in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh at the moment. So actually, two portfolio companies are South African, Moment and also Altify. So one is doing tokenization for solar panels, climate tech, and then one is Altify on trading, token trading and like altcoin trading as well. So this is like the portfolio. So we are industry agnostic. So we believe like innovations can come from any industry. So it can be DeFi, centralized finance, exchange payment, RWA, DePINs, anything. So this is like the background. And yeah, looking forward to meet more founders like in the continent. And we're actively also looking for good founders and good projects. So the second part about the landscape. You can see in Africa, the proportion to the global Web3 is actually not a straight line. It's not straight line up and it's not straight line kind of downwards. It's actually fluctuate a lot. You can see from 2018 to 2021, it's like up and then up again and then down again. So it's like this. Although if you can think about like the global Web3 markets, like the bear market, bull market is not strictly correlates because this is like only the proportion, but not the exact number terms. You may think, oh, this is very fluctuated. Maybe it's a little bit discouraging, but it's actually not at the same time because it shows how dynamic the market is. With right resources and with right support and right ideas, it can actually show Africa as a continent and also founders and also innovators can actually grow bigger and also capture a bigger market shares in the continent. From a little bit about myself, I actually work in 6 of this like part of the world, and I leave 6 of them. So I kind of fairly know like each of them. And I would say, like North America, you can see like consistently it's like 40%, 50%, and you know Silicon Valley investors, they're all around there. But then we can see like there's a little bit like decreasing trend, and then other part of the world like Middle East, Asia, they actually have like a little bit like steady growth. So we can see like it's time and we have opportunity to grow bigger in terms of the global kind of Web3 markets. And in terms of the funding, it's actually quite diverse. In 2023, mostly are from blockchain network, decentralized finance, game fee, NFT, and metaverse. But funny enough, 2022, most of them, the majority, like 60%, 70% is actually centralized finance in Africa, Web3 funding, kind of the funding to the industry. So it can change, like it shows the ecosystem is actually growing mature and mature because DeFi is like usually a lot of people is still like pioneer, not a lot of people going to DeFi, stacking, restacking, layers 2, layer 3, like those kind of like terms is still not very familiar in a lot of like Web 2 kind of users, and also they're not yet going to there. So we can see it's like dynamic, and it's like getting mature, the whole market. From the investor side, that is getting more confidence, and also from the entrepreneur side, they are building like kind of a new project around those areas. So here are the list of the investor who are actively investing in the continent. They hold like more than like 4 active projects here. So you can see some of them, they're actually global, right? But then they will have a specific team here in Africa, like lead or like have like a manager to really organize the portfolio company in this region. So one like typical, I would see when I meet founders, there are 2 types. Like break it down in a simple term. One is like prepared, one is not prepared. So prepared one, you know the investors, you know what is their investment thesis, you know who are the portfolio companies are, you actually did some research. One time, like investor also founders also talked to me, oh, you have the similar portfolio, would you really consider? They know it, actually yes, we consider them as well because we believe competition, but it's actually good for the whole ecosystem. So we have portfolio company actually working in the same domain. So this is like one investment thesis that we hold, is like we don't afraid like investing in two competitors. So this is like one example. And the people who are not prepared, who didn't prepare for meeting investors, like they don't know nothing about the investor. They don't even know the geographical focus, their ticket size, etc., etc. So this is like just like an advice. You need to do your due diligence to the investor before you approach them, because at the very end, it's a marriage. So it's not like they give you like 100K, 500K, 1 million, and then that's it. It's really like a long term. You have like ups and downs, and then back and forth, a lot of like communication with investors and founders. So it's really like a knot. And what are the challenges? It goes to the third part of like my sharing. So I identified 3 challenges like specifically here in this continent. First is regulation uncertainty. So if you know, like here, I think only like 4 countries are like kind of have like more clear regulation or like stance. It's like, oh, this is illegal. And then most of them, like 30 plus 40, is like uncertain. Yeah, yes, no, I don't know. Even the regulator don't know. So it's really challenging. As an investor, like, should I put money? No. Should I put the capital? Is this a big question? It's like a big risk, right? Although you can say that it can be a big opportunity because you are the pioneer if you start to invest in that project before everybody else. But at the same time, if the government said no, like everything is done. So the regulation from investor point of view is the same as the founder entrepreneur. Also like a big challenge. But I would say I'll put it like innovation here is because a lot of time like the way how you deal with it. Although there's no clear regulation, but then if you, a product line, you have like, for example, you partner with like some licensed partners, and then you figure out kind of the capital flow or how you do it, then it can be a solution. One example is like one of the deal that we have recently in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is welcome blockchain, but not welcoming tokenization. So what the company is doing is like, oh, the token entity is actually in Singapore. But then we are also doing, it's a global project. It's not only like Saudi project, but they're from Saudi. So that's one example, but it can be a lot of like innovation around that regarding the regulation uncertainty that you need to convince the user, convince the regulator, convince the investor. And then the second part is the funding gaps. So like I mentioned previously, North America is like a very, very established, mature ecosystem. So a lot of investors just like, they are like confident because they are also familiar. But then in terms of like Africa, like a lot of people actually don't know much. It's like emerging market. A lot of things like actually happening very fast that even the people in South Africa, maybe they don't know what happened in the West or in the North. So it's like huge and like, also the investor, like we don't, like the gap is there, and we always advise or recommend the founders just focus on the profitability first. Because we found the challenge here is because after we invest like 30, 40 startup here, and then we are helping them and supporting them for the second and follow-up fundings. But then there's also difficult because when you don't have the numbers, like financial reporting or like statement, you don't have the profit. Or although you have like the USP, then like it cannot convince the investor to put the capital, because at the very end, ROI is one indicator that investors have to look, no matter how fancy or how good your idea is, like the ROI has to be there. And then the last part is the market understandings, correlate to the previous point, because a lot of people don't know the kind of the region, so they feel skeptical, and when they feel skeptical, then it's harder for them to put the check and pay you the check for that. So it's like, although it's like high risk and high return, but this is like still a gap there. So most of the time, I would think really like the founders have to share and also provide a lot of insight in terms of how well you know the market. And if you know about the market, how well can you scale up? This, from my experience, like when I was running a crypto exchange in Nigeria, like even within Nigeria, we're running a lot in like Lagos, like those in the south. And then when we need to go to Kano, the north of Nigeria, language change. And I went to DRC, the French, and then I went to Cameroon, there's the French again, and then like Ethiopia, Amharic. So like I actually got a little bit stuck. So we have to have local for each country, you know, and then we need to make sure from an operational point of view, it makes sense and it can scale up. So it's the same. From an investor point of view, they might not know, but even they know, you need to make them believe you can do it, you are the right person. And so that's like kind of the challenges. And lastly, is about the outlook before I open up for Q&A, if anyone have questions. So I see like this 4 main outlooks myself. The first one is growth potential, definitely from a global kind of Web3. There is a growth already. That's my ultimate belief because of the nature of cryptocurrency, about decentralization. It's like the ideology that support a lot of people, why they're using it and also supporting that. And especially in this continent, in a lot of countries, we somehow or sometimes not believe a lot of like centralized institution, and that's why we go for the decentralized one. So I believe this growth is really from the ideology level. You support the concept, you support the ideology. That's like the fundamental that I believe. And the second one is the maturity. Definitely the market and ecosystem is getting mature and mature. In the previous session, a lot is talking about stacking, and then also talking about DeFi. Just now I mentioned the sci-fi to DeFi. All this is actually showing the market and ecosystem is getting mature and mature. So along the way, that will be very good for investor because it will filter a lot of startups that are either the idea is not strong enough or the execution are not strong enough. So this is like a process of like a lot of like companies and then like filtering. It happens in layer ones, you see, like layer ones, a lot of layer ones actually getting out because they're not, a lot of people are not believing them, and layer twos is still the same. From Ethereum layer twos to like a lot of like Bitcoin layers two also coming up. So this like maturity, I think, is happening a lot. And the third is evolving priorities. This one is more linked to the investor side. Like nowadays, like the narratives is more on RWA, deepen. So this is like a kind of global trend, and we actually also support and also see how they link to real, real use cases in the world, like nowadays, like linked to day-to-day life, like not only need to kind of think about, oh, only use blockchain, but then they actually link to the our day-to-day life. This is like priorities will change along the world narratives. And then last one is about the disruptive innovation. Just also some speakers also mentioned, like it's actually linking a lot of different technologies now, like with AI and how we link to blockchain and everything. This integration can actually help the whole ecosystem. And yeah, that's my sharing. And yeah, I have 2 minutes. I think 2 minutes for the Q&A.
Got to be a couple of founders here who wouldn't mind asking a question. 2 questions I'm going to give because we are way over time, but it's all good.
Thank you very much. My name is Ikenga, represent BitGet. But I have a very serious question, which I've been following most of the VCs. So my question to you is, from the VC aspect, what are the 3 major things that you see most of the product developers fall short when they're pitching for funding, for example? Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, like their weakness, in other words? Okay.
Yes, like weaknesses or the things which make a VC, things that turn off VCs, basically, when they're being pitched a product. Maybe 3 major ones.
Okay. Okay. I think if you need to say 3 major ones, the first one is like, I saw it's like they have the technical background, but then they cannot put in the application level sometimes. It's like, oh, this is like new tech, this is faster. The TVL will go big, but then how? Like the GTM might not be there, so they cannot make it sustainable. You have the tech, maybe sometimes you have the tech, but then you need to have GTM and like user base and kind of the scalability is not there. So this one. And then the second one maybe is it's like team as well. So like the person may be a very good kind of a visionary innovators, but then like if without one, it's like the one founders and then even like co-founders, if you don't have like kind of a core team members that have like different skill sets, then it's really hard to kind of form the startup because one person is hard to kind of form like a big business. And then the third one, I would say, sorry? From the product level, okay. From the product level. Oh, this is very typical. That's like, we saw a lot of like different product. It's like, they think too big. And then they forget like, okay, now. So now, can you roll out something now? And then they keep doing, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. Like this is like big, right? For pitching, it's really good. Like, oh wow, this product is like so good. It will be the next killer of the ecosystem. But then at the very end, I want to roll out the project now. So you have some profitability, you have some users, but I think a lot of product is really like think big, but they forgot. You need to execute now, at least to get like number, like 100 users, 1,000 users, before you get to like, I got like 1 million, I want to get 1 million users. So that's one of the big one, I think.
Yeah, it's a great question. Okay, last question.
Hello, thanks for your speech, very cool. Quick question around accelerator programs and whether they have value or have their value changed over time?
Okay, so I would answer this question is like, yes, accelerator program has value to specific group of startup and founders. Because accelerator program usually have like a harder terms. When you get into the accelerator program, they may take certain percentage of the startups. And I would say it usually more suitable for founders, two types of founder. One, super early, they don't have like a lot of like GTM or a lot of kind of product MVP yet. That's like first type. And the second type is like they lack something. It's like, I'm very good in products, but I'm lacking, investor network, or I'm lacking tokenomic designs, or I'm lacking some tech resources. So there's like something lacking, then I think these two types of entrepreneurs and founders will be very, very good for accelerator program. But if it's like, like all good and then it's like growing, like getting mature, this type it will be like a marginal because you lack flexibility and time at the same time. Because accelerator is like very intense 3 months program usually. So you're losing a lot of time, and you might it's like the opportunity cost is higher if you have all kind of structure, team structure, idea structure, product. So I think that I would put it in that way.
Thank you so much, Hailey. That was outstanding. Thank you. Great job.